Hi, I'm Steve Sapato, and you're listening to The Happiness Agenda. And today, I'm telling you, we've had Kris Miller on before, and we talk about helping you find a way to make more money, keep more money, right? Build your business. We want to help you be happier, healthier, and live a life that you're blessed to enjoy. And Kris Miller is one of those people, and I want you to tune in. If you want to catch the previous episode, I'll put a link in the bio for you. But I want you to know that this is going to be an exceptional opportunity for you to learn more about how to keep your own money and not let the banks or the tax man take it. And just so you know, Kris Miller is actually here in the waiting room. So I think I'll admit her. What do you think? Kris Miller, are you there? Kris Miller, tell us a little bit about you. Now, we've already watched you before on the podcast, but I knew I wanted to have you back. I want other people to be able to hear, and certainly with the way the world has changed, we need to hear what you have to say. So tell us what you do and real quick, how you got into it so that you give you more time to talk about how you can help the people listening.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you so much for having me again. And so, Consolidate 35 years. I'm a legacy wealth strategist, and I've helped over 6,000 people protect their assets from catastrophic illness, probate, and the Great Recession. And those that did money with me, I'm proud to say no one on my watch has ever lost a dime in any market risk. People go, what? Well, because I did a deep dive on safe money. So I know some strategies that they call them the secrets of the 1%, but my goal is to share the 1% with the 99 so everybody gets blessed.
You know, I think it's interesting, Kris, that we talk about the secrets of the 1%. And I guess it goes back to I was 55 years old before I learned the rule of 72 when it comes to money. And if you're out there and you don't know the rule of 72, hit me up and we'll send you a link to it. Just a real quick video that tells you about the rule of 72. But it's funny how we attribute the 1% or the top elite people as being able to make more money because we have not been taught about money, have we?
Hello, Steve, that's exactly what hit me about, well, maybe about year 25 when, I wrote my #1 best-selling book. And then I realized, you know what? People go to school, they learn how to make money. They get out of school, what they do, go make money and give it to somebody to gamble because that's the only thing that they know is you've got to risk your money to make money. And that model is out of date. That is
Now,
not.
when you say they went to school to learn how to make money, but truthfully, most people haven't been taught how to make money. They were taught how to go out and get a job, and that
Okay.
job would help you make some money. And then we've been taught to take that money and invest it in the stock market or
Yeah.
buy and people like you say, people buy all kinds of different stuff, including cryptos, including this, including that. And very few people, when you talk to people now I'm in a retirement community, so a lot of people here did well in their retirement. But when I talk to a lot of them, they're still working. I mean, we're in this 55 plus community, and a lot of people are still working, having a part-time job just to make sure ends meet. And I think that's what's crazy is most of us don't have any idea how we can have $1 million when we retire at 65.
And that's what they're saying that they're going to need is $1 million to retire. So what is it right now? 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. How are you going to have $1 million if you're living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Not, work 5 jobs, but
And I just saw a thing about I'm watching a thing on video, and it was Chinese people. And you think, well, Chinese people, they're poor, they're all got crummy jobs. But it says Chinese people are learning to live in the big cities, and those little teeny apartments and all that stuff they got. But they, in the first 40 years of their working life, they put away $150,000, and then when they hit like 55 years old, they take that $100,000 and move into these outlying villages where the cost of living is almost zero, and they can live out the rest of their lives in real good luxury type conditions in small villages in China on 150,000. Well, that's not possible in America.
I've never heard of but I've
Yeah.
heard the dismal part of that place. But yeah, well, if people were taught young, I had a guy, he was 38 and he put $500 in a month and he was set to get $80,000 to $100,000 when he retired, tax free for life. That comes out to millions of dollars with longevity. So
Now wait, you said 80 to $100,000 tax free, right? When he
every
retired,
year,
but you
yep,
meant 80 to $100,000 a year.
that's right. A
Yeah,
year with
a year.
$500 a month. So someone that doesn't have a lot of money, that is a little younger, can really leverage the power of tax deferral and never losing your money in the market.
But what
Uh,
if I'm 50? What if I'm 50 or 55? I
well,
can't put $500 away and then earn $100,000 a year for life.
Well, there's the very cool things for people that are in their 50s and 60s and going up is the equity index annuities. I have all my retirement in there. And those are, I mean, like your 401k is a big tax bomb, okay? People have that, and it's going to be an ordinary income. You're going to take it out. And a lot of my clients, they roll that over tax free. And then there's different kinds of accounts where they could put it in. The accumulation account is ranging between 10 and 15, 16% tax deferred. So you only pay the taxes when you take it out. Then you can, there's other kind of accounts that you can create income that you'll never outlive. And, and, and that, in my experience, because I've had them 30 years, have doubled and tripled my money. So you
Wow.
can take chunks of money and throw them into these accounts. If you don't have a lot of money, there's what I call creative planning. I'm not like the one size fits all that everybody needs this. Everybody's different. A lot of people have their equity in their real estate, maybe not a lot of money. A lot of people don't even have that.
Yeah.
So it is
So
customized.
let's start off. Let's use an example. I'm going to use my wife as an example. So she's
Okay.
55 years old. And how would you go about helping her to put together a retirement plan? What would happen?
Okay, so then I got to ask you, how much you have in the bank, how much is she have for income after you've spent your bills, how much extra you do have? And is she in good health? And does she have an IRA and a 401k? So say, she has some of those things. What I would do is research, and I would make an illustration and give a class. And this is the part that I'm shifting in because I have been one on one with people, and now, I'm kind of, branching off here, but I feel like I'm running in front of a fire. A lot of little sheepies are about to go off a cliff. So I got to
Yeah.
get to a lot of people really fast. So I created a financial literacy program so people could get up to date on this. That but back to the one-on-one, I would literally get her age, her goals, her family, and all those details. Then I research it, then I come back with an illustration, give you the class, and then send it to you complimentary, no charge. And then you guys review it, and then we come back again and go over questions and customize what it is that you're trying to get at. There's what I call creative planning. So it fits exactly. And the fear of people that, like, I don't want to do it, forget it, never mind. It's just because they don't understand. So I make it a point to educate people and give them all the information. I mean, they could take it and run and never come back again. That's okay. Because I know I've done the best that I could with what I have
Well,
and give.
one of the things that I struggle with. So I teach people how to be better presenters.
Yeah,
And you probably face the same challenges I face, which is when I look at somebody and go, I teach people how to better presenters. And the people who I'm talking to go, well, I'm pretty good already.
yeah,
And the answer is no, you're not. Right. and
right.
and they don't real I ask them, when's the last time you recorded yourself and watched it? When's the last time you had a professional watch you give a presentation and give you a critique on it? Right? Because we all need to get better. We all should get better. It's the same thing with our finances. When
Yeah,
you ask people, how are you doing financially? Everybody has to say, oh, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah.
And so what makes us, how do we overcome the barrier when people say, I don't need to talk to somebody about my money? And the answer is yes, you do, because there's so much we don't know.
Exactly, exactly. And it's just staying in the mindset of learning. Like I've been speaking 35 years, and I, would love your review because I want to get real, I just want to get better every time, and so that I can help people. So if that's your heart or your mission, then you keep growing. Maybe somebody's been kind of has a little fear because they've had bad experience, and you can't, there's no judgment, there's no blame. So what I like to do is, how do you get people past that? Is that you stay loving and personable and realize that, look, when you're 30, you don't know what it's like when you're 60, let alone when you're 60, what is 70, 80, 90? Plan for 120. New things are going to happen in the next decades, right? And you're going to run out of money. So it's really behooves you to take time to learn. You're
Yeah.
not committed. You don't have to do anything. There's somebody showing up saying, hey, I'm going to give you all this for free. And then you're going to get down the road like, 10, a few years later and go, oh, I wish I would have done that. And there's things that I look at that I do that I wish I would have known earlier, that I didn't find out till I was 58.
Well,
And
what's
mhm,
funny about that is I tell people all the time when I'm trying to, and I don't teach financial education because I don't know it, right? I mean, what I tell people is when I was growing up, my parents said, you got to save 10% of your money. Well, when I was growing up, you work a full 40-hour week and you got paid $1.25 an hour. So you
right,
were making $50 for the week. And
right.
when they said put away 10%, you put $5, you put it in the bank, and then you put $5, you went, well, shit, that's, pardon my grammar, that's no money. That's not, $5 isn't going to do anything. And
Yeah,
the stupidity of that example is if I had to put $5 a week away, now it
yeah,
doesn't sound like much, but $5 a week then, which would be $20 a month back then, right? And watched it grow, I would still probably have $100,000 in the bank if I'd have just done that for 10 years, just $5 a week, right?
yeah,
But we don't know that. Nobody says that they didn't teach us the rule of 72 is compound interest. Nobody said, oh, by the way, if you're getting 6% on your money, this will turn into this much money. And if you're
exactly.
getting 8% of your money, this will turn into this. You went, what? I don't get that. I don't care. Don't bother me. $5 is not enough. And
Right.
the stupidity is now, and my in-laws, my daughter-in-law and son-in-law, uh, like they spend big money on their boys, right? And I go, like they buy them shirts and they buy them hats and they buy them paraphernalia for the football games. And I go, you want to teach them better? Instead of buying them a $50 jersey for the football game, put it into an annuity, let's say, right? Or something where they're going to get 6 or 8% back on their money.
Those
And,
kids.
but
Yeah.
people don't do that. They just go, no, it's okay. They would rather have the shirt. Well, here's what I tell people all the time. If your parents and your parents or grandparents, if your parents had put away the right money for you, and when you hit 65, they said, oh, by the way, at 65, here's whatever it is, the trust. Here's the key to the trust. And they open up that trust and it says, oh, by the way, here's $1.2 million. Would I have
Yeah.
been mad at my parents for having left me
Right.
out in the cold by not buying me a jersey when I was 12? No. And
No.
that's
Right.
what you want your kids to be able to do when they turn 65. You want them to turn that annuity key or that trust key and find $500,000 in the bank. And you can do that and go, I'm stealing your thunder, but go ahead, Kris. I want you to
Well,
teach
you
us
could
again
do
about.
that with my favorite for the things for the kids, because I found out about this when I said 58. I actually did one at 64. I'm in elite health though, and you got to put a way more amount of money in because there's less longevity. Okay.
Yep.
So, but imagine, when these things for the kids that are in their single or double digits, that you put in 50, $100 for 30, 40 years without paying any taxes on the growth, with maybe 6 to 9% in the last 30 years of growth, never losing your principal. It's astounding what that money looks like. And if
Yeah.
and mom and dad need to do that, because these poor kids aren't going to have the chance that the boomers had. We're not, it's a different. It's going to be way different and way harder for them. So
Well,
it's
yeah,
really
I talk about people, talk to people. Matter of fact, I sat down, we were playing a game the other day and we got to talking about politics and other stuff. And I said, well, does the BRICS alignment bother you guys at all? And this couple looked at me and like went, what? I went, BRICS, the BRICS. And they went, what is that?
right.
Now, one of the couple, we were playing with two couples, and one of the couples I'd already told that about, and they poo-poo me. They're like, forget it. And this other couple had no idea what a BRICS alignment was, which is, of course, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, plus 11 more countries now have wanted to sign on to BRICS. All right. And yeah, oh, and it is coming in. So they're trying to figure out, they're going back to the gold standard. So when Kris talks about we have no real idea what's going on, we're going back to the gold standard according to those countries. And if America doesn't join in, then America's got to figure out what's going to happen to their money, because ours is out in the cold right now. We don't know that yet. You know, here we are in 2004, pushing 2005, and we don't know that our money's out in the cold. Everybody just sitting back going, hey, we're going to be fine. And we're not.
No, and this is not going to be 2008. This is a disaster. This is like the fall of the Roman Empire, because the fiat money, there's no gold behind us. We're 35, 37 trillion debt. The interest on the debt is over trillion something, right? For a year. It's insanity. And then when they want something, they keep printing money. This is a nightmare. And then guess what? Saudi Arabia got off the petrodollar. Hello, they're all getting off the petrodollar. So not only do
and most people don't know what the petrodollar is, because we are uninformed as a nation. The petrodollar in 1972, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, we made a deal with Saudi Arabia in the Middle East that they would support and only sell oil based upon the American dollar. Well, here we are 60 years later, 70 years later, and they just this year went off the petrodollar. So they dropped us like a hot potato, and they're going to join the BRICS nations. You know, you're like,
people don't watch, they just watch cable news, and the information is very limited. And if you want to have you have to research, you have to go online at different channels and learn, because the mass, cable news and they're all saying the same thing, like on the economy, oh, everything is fine with the economy because it's election year. It is not fine. And the money people are saying, hold your cash, get ready to rock and roll, because this thing is going to rock and roll, and it isn't going to be 2008. The feds are ready to have a disaster happen so they can bring in CBDC, which is digital currency. Hello. That means now we get rid of cash, and then they're control with this digital currency, and they can control the value of that currency. It's insanity.
Well, I think what's interesting there is you said they can control the value of the currency. They American, and I don't remember this terminology, but we haven't been for a long time been in control of our own currency. The banks have taken care of that. All the banking institutions are all in this. So we borrow from ourselves to lend money to ourselves. And then the more money we want, the more money we print. And therefore we borrow more money and pay ourselves a little bit. And then we take the rest of that and go into debt to the One World Bank or whatever it is. I mean, it's just nutball. And we are heading for a disaster. And that's why we need to take what money you've got right now. We need to move that into a more secure position. We don't know the future. So what will be secure once we hit this BRICS thing, 2 years down the road? We're uncertain. But for goodness sake, you should start putting your money into a place that is safe, that is guaranteed to make you some. Now, it's not going to be 12, 14, 16%, but it will be a consistent amount that will help you produce an income for your families, for your kids, for you if you're young, or if you're between 20 and 30 years old, you can still have total control of this. If you're 30 to 50 years old, it's going to take a lot more money. But the important part is that when you talk to Kris, now, Kris, I'm going to interrupt. How do they get in touch with you? How would they learn about your program or how to participate? I'm so excited.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. You can hop on my calendar and say, meet with KrisMiller.com. That'll put you right on my calendar. Meet with Kris, Kris Miller.com. Give my office a call. I still use landlines. 951-926-4158. I've got some great educational videos that I can send you to. You can send me an email at Kris, Kris, at healthymoneyhappylife.com. And I'm happy to send you some videos to get you up to date on things, and then set up what I call financial fitness strategy session, where I'll do what I said, Steve. I'll ask you your age, your health, your wealth, and I'll teach you and show you, like your wife, that what would happen. And then you don't have to say yes or no, you just learn about it so you're empowered and you know what to do. And it's really important right now because, like I said, I'm running in front of a fire. And so you want to learn about these safe money strategies. And it's different for each age, because not only do you want to take care of yourself, you want to take care of your family and your kids and your grandkids. So they're really going to have a rough time. So we want
I think she said something there. It always varies with age, but the rule of 72 that I push all the time is to young parents. And that's if you'll put $100 a month, $100 a month away for your kids from age 10 to age 20, and it averages 8%. Now, where you put it and how you put it and all that good stuff, that's why you talk to Kris, because you want it to average at least 8%. But if it averages 8%, $100 a month from age 10 to age 20. Now, listen to what I'm saying. That's $1,000 a year. Now, anybody can afford $1,000 a year for their kid. If you're taking that goofy vacation, that Walt Disney World vacation, that's $10,000 all by itself. Okay. Right. So you take that $10,000 and forget about saving $100 a month for your kid. Take that $10,000, put it for one of your kids, right? The next time you want to go on that stupid $10,000 vacation, put it for the other kid and just leave it in there. Just leave it in there. Now, can you still have fun with your kids all summer long if you don't take them for that 10-day trip to Walt Disney World or Walt Disneyland or whatever the freak you're taking them to? You can have fun with them and you can still make memories with them. It's just not going to cost you $10,000. And that $10,000, once you put it in there, leave it there, trust until they're 60, and they'll walk away with $1 million. Now, I understand you guys all want to have Walt Disney World vacation experiences with your kids, but wouldn't you rather your kids looked at you when they turned 60 and said, "Oh my God, $1 million." Oh my God.
Right.
I can't even imagine what that would do.
It's amazing. And there's things that you can do. They're so easy to do that multiplies the money. And I call it the DNT account. Do not touch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You just start putting the money in there, and money is magnetic. It's just energy. Money is, it's just energy. It attracts more of itself. There's something magical that happens. You keep putting it away, it'll want its friends there too. So it starts.
I teach a course, and it's about relationships. Okay. And we talk about relationships, about why people have trouble in relationships. And then I ask people, what's worth arguing about? Now, I do ask them in my workshops, what's the last thing you had a big argument about with your partner, your spouse? And nobody raises their hand because nobody wants to talk about how stupid their last argument was that created such a hassle with them, right? But when we finally start, okay, so what's worth arguing about? And there's only like 4 things. I'll say 4 or 5. I forget. It's been long enough since I've done one, but like 4 things. And they'll say fidelity. They'll say money. They'll say trust. They'll say this. They'll say that, right? And it's always about trust. In case you missed this, it's always about trust. So let me give you the perfect example. I'm on my 3rd marriage and happy as a clam. Been married 10 years. I forget. 9 years, because we're going to go to Greece next year on our 10th anniversary. But in my 2nd marriage, we put $25 a week away for my kids. So we had 2 boys, one from her previous marriage and one from our marriage. And I said, okay, we're going to set this up so out of her paycheck, she worked at a corporation. So we're going to take $25 a week and put it away on the kids into one of those savings accounts. And it wasn't going to earn much, 4 or 5% at that point in time on a savings account. Now it's less than 1%, in case you guys didn't know. Less than 1% of your savings account. But in those days, it was 4 or 5%. And I remember like 8 years had gone by, and I went, man, I'd like to see what that has done. Now, still not knowing the rule of 72, not knowing interest changed everything. But I went, okay, $25 a week, that's $100 a month. I wonder how much that is in each of the boys' accounts. And I talked to my wife, my 2nd wife, and said, let's go see how much that is. And she went, I don't want to do that. I want to see how much it is, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, when I finally coerced her into going to the credit union where we had put this money away, the lady looked at me across the counter and said, it's $25. I said, what's the balance? I went, $25. I went, no, I don't know how much I put in there every week. I want to know what the balance on the accounts is. And she said, it's $25. I went, no, I don't think you understand my question. I said, I want to know the total amount in these accounts, these two savings accounts. She went, $25. I went, and I looked at my wife, now ex-wife, right? And I went, what happened here? And she said, okay, I've needed the money and I take the money out when I need it. Now, when Kris said
Oh,
DNT, do not touch, $100
right.
a month, $100
Oh,
a month, $1,000 a year for 8 years should have been $8,000 or $10,000. And it
yeah.
was $25 because she kept touching the money. And that also gets back to a relationship. How do you trust somebody in your relationship if they're basically stealing money from their kids?
You
And
can't.
so one of the challenges that you will face is do not touch that money. Do not touch that money. And if you put it into a trust that you can keep putting into, but you can't pull out of because it's in their name, your kids will come out a winner. Your grandkids will come out a winner.
Well,
And
the other
that's why you need to call Kris. And it's Kris. It's meetwithkrismiller.com. I highly recommend that you reach out
right.
and put up a meeting with her, or drop her an email, Kris at healthymoneyhappylife.com. I'm going to repeat that. Kris, Kris, at healthymoneyhappylife.com. And Kris, you said they can even call you now that they have their pens out and they're trying to write this down. What's your phone number?
Okay, it's 951-926-4158. That's the office number. So you can get through to me there. And I got a PS, one more thing for those kids. Not only are you saving that money in something that actually could create tax-free income for life that I would share with you when we talk, but you could teach your kids how to save. Do that. That's so important. So you empower them. It's like when they put that $5 in the bank, I will match you. And that's how I learned about safe money, was my daddy. He taught me all this stuff. He
Nice.
taught me how to save when I was young. I mean, I'm a fanatic. I'm a little bit crazy. I even take stamps off the envelopes.
I'm going to tell you another quick story too, because my son is now 36. He's 36 years old, right? But
Okay.
we belonged to a group called Amway back in those days,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
when he was growing up, we'd go to these meetings, we'd go to these monthly things, we'd go to the giant seminars, and they were always pushing books and they were always pushing CDs and tapes and all that stuff, and you were buying those and sucking up the information. And
Yeah.
what they taught me in those days, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't make a dime out of it, not a dime, but it did change my life.
Right.
Okay. And that's important because what happened during all of that was it empowered me to keep learning and keep growing. And so when my son was listening to a tape with me one day, one of the guys Cavett Roberts, who's a phenomenal speaker, he's a big hero of mine. And Cavett Roberts said in this tape, CD, said, don't make your kid get a job when they turn 16. Well, I'm from John Deere country. I went, bullshit, right? They got to get a job. They got to learn the value of work. And he went, instead, have them read a book of your choosing and do a book report back to you, right? And then you read that book too. I went, oh, and so I'd always been read to my kids. So when he got in the car that day, I kind of set that up. So I played it for him. I said, what do you think of this? And he said, instead of getting a job, I can read a book and you'll pay me. I went, yeah, I'll pay you to read a book. And he goes, okay, right? And
Yeah.
and I got to pick the books. And I mean, again, going by the Amway people who knew money, and they suggest they had a reading list of like 10 or 15 books about money. And I picked those out and had him read. Now, problem is, I didn't read
Oh,
them.
oh no.
I mean, I read a few of them, right?
Yeah, right.
But I wasn't in the frame of mind where they impacted me, right? And I mean, it's The Richest Man in Babylon, and I'm like, so the guy there did this. That's not worth a poo to me. Richest Man in Babylon back in the 12th century or something.
Yeah.
My son read those books, did a book report to me on them, and then over the years read more books and did more learning. He eventually, in high school, formed the Future Millionaires Club at Davenport Central High School. And I was so proud because he got his picture in the paper and he got his picture in the school books and all this other stuff
Yeah.
about how he was teaching other kids about money. Now,
Wow.
fast forward about 30 years and 20 years, and he became a bartender. He didn't finish college. He became a bartender and said, because that's what he loved to do. And I told him he should always do what he loves. And he still does that today over in Europe. He's a celebrity bartender in Europe. And
Okay.
he's got beaucoup money set aside. Just like you said, he tucked this money away. He learned to live on 1/3 of his income, and he put 1/3 of his income away. And you're like, so one day he called me up, said something, and the IRS was after me for something I'd done like 15 years before. And of course, my accountant had messed it up. And so the IRS said, well, you owe us this much money. And I went, how can that be? And they went, well, you haven't paid it for 15 years. I went, you didn't call me. You didn't let me know. And they went, well, we've been trying. We just haven't known how to get a hold of you. Now, the stupidity about that and why I hate the government, the IRS, is because if you look up my name, Steve Sapato, and you go back to how far it goes back to almost when the internet started. I've been on the internet since it started as Steve Sapato, right? Steve Sapato Seminars. Are you telling me the IRS didn't know enough to look online and find Steve Sapato and say, hey, we want to talk to you? But
Yeah.
they let it sit and they let it accumulate interest,
Right.
which is what we want your money to do instead of the IRS. And
Yes.
they said, you owe this much money. Well, I'm telling you the story because they garnished my son's bank account
Oh,
for
wow.
thousands of dollars. And
Yikes.
I went, oh man, I'm so sorry, buddy. I said, how much is it? I'll send you. He was going to go on vacation. I said, I'll send you the money so you can go on vacation. He went, no, I'm good. I went, no, you probably need this to go on your vacation. Because when I went on vacation, Kris, I barely managed to get the money, right? Because I lived day to day, paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And I said, I'll send you the money so that you're not short. And he goes, Dad, I'm really good. In a couple of weeks when we come back, I'll get the money from you. I went, well, I don't, how can you be good? Right? Because I wouldn't have been if somebody would take a bunch of my money.
Sure.
And he said, Dad, I got X amount in the bank right now. And when he said how much it was, I went, how can that be? Right? I don't have any of that. And he's like, Dad, all the books I read taught me how to manage money. And I've done really well. And I'm sitting
Wow.
there going, so please call Kris,
Thank you.
talk to her about the money, talk to her about your kids' money, talk to her about your grandkids' money. And that's the reason I do these podcasts, is so that you guys will start to go, I probably should call Kris, or drop me, Steve at stevesapato.com, and say, I probably should talk to Kris. What do you think? And I'll send you her information again so that you've got it. And you know what, better yet, she might even give you a holler to help you, because we're all afraid. I don't know what we're afraid of.
Yeah.
We're afraid of learning about money. Maybe we're afraid of how much we don't know.
Yeah. And it's so empowering when you know about it, like, because there's so much stress. The people that are in the stock market, they're, is it going to be up or down when I retire? And that stress is an unconscious, it causes illness, right? Health is wealth. And
Here's
wealth,
something. Here's
right?
something I learned 20 years ago that I had no idea. 20 years ago, I was reading an article and it said, half of the stocks on the New York Stock Exchange won't exist 10 years from now. And I went, what? And they went, every 10 years, half of the stocks on the New York Stock Exchange won't exist. And I went, I don't understand that. What do you mean they don't exist? And that's because they either get bought up or they go out of business. And I had no idea half of the stocks on the New York Stock Exchange either get bought out or go out of business. Now, if they get bought out, maybe that's a good thing for you. If they pay enough money, you get extra stock or something. But if they buy them out because they're going down and they hope they can salvage them, then it's not good for you. And if they just bankrupt out or go close, you lose all your money. And I had no idea. That's why they do, what is it, Kris, when they take all yours and put them into one, like one group of stocks?
Right, like a mutual fund.
A mutual fund. A mutual fund is made up because the stockbrokers don't know which stocks are going to disappear. So they put you into like 10 or 20 different stocks, a mutual fund, so that you don't lose all your money if some of them goes away.
Right. Exactly. It's like a gambling table, right? You got more risk here and less here. Put it all over the place and something's going to win.
Yeah.
And when I first started decades ago, I was like, I don't want to live like that. I want income I'll never outlive. And so I've been blessed and it wasn't that I was so smart, Steve. It was just I saw the patterns and that most people end up broke before they pass away. It's so
Yeah.
sad. So, because they don't know the information. So that's why I have a financial literacy program. That's why I just love to share with people all these secrets. It's not secret, it's just not talked about. So we're
Yeah.
talking.
That's right. And what's interesting is most people say, "No, I'm in pretty good shape." And I will share with you just what she alluded to, which is you're in pretty good shape until you quote unquote need to go into a nursing home.
Oh
I
man.
can't tell you how many people over the last 10 years have needed to go into a nursing. Now, my mom owned her own company for 20 or 30 years. And when it was time for her and dad to go into the nursing home, what do they call that? Assisted living. Medicare, Medicaid, and all the powers that be said, you have to spend this much money a month to go into this assisted living. And when we looked at how much now, and again, she owned her own company and sold it and had what we thought was plenty of money. And when they said it's $7,000 a month just to live in this place, and that's basically 84, $100,000 a year. How long can you live in an assisted living if it's costing you $100,000 a year? So we figured it out, and they could only live there like 7 years. 7 years, 700,000. Now the strange thing is, I said, well, I'm going to get some money when they party out and disappear into the afterlife. And I looked at that and went, if you live 7 more years, I don't get a dime. I said, maybe we should take some of it out now. And of course, they have rules that say, no, if you take that out within 5 years of them passing, you have to pay it all back. And I was like, holy shit, right? And so when you start to learn the rules say the cards are stacked against you. And my mother was blessed because she got into this in the Medicare, Medicaid up in Illinois. And after her retirement ran out, Medicare, Medicaid took the whole burden and pays for her. And she's lived in a nursing home now for 5 years. So she went from the assisted living after 10 years into a nursing home for 5 years. Imagine there's no money there. And that's what I talk to people all the time who say, I don't know how I'm going to put my mom into a nursing home because we can't afford that kind of money. $5,000 a month for a nursing home. That's $60,000 a year. And so you might think you're fine until it's time for your parents to go into a nursing. Call Kris. Call Kris.
And Steve, that is my specialty because my family was my nightmare and they didn't have long-term care. My dad was a genius. He went to Caltech and Einstein was one of his teachers and he did very well. He had millions, multi-millions. And then my mommy came up to me and she was crying and she said, honey, share this with your client. It was a piece of paper. It was a bill from Stanford Hospital for 5 days of chemo, $90,000 every month for a year. $1 million is not a lot of money. And that was
$90,000 a month?
$90,000 a month. And that was at Stanford, best hospital. That was just the chemo, not the doctors, not the therapies, not the drugs. Well, we're in a big deal of not sending our family to a nursing home. That's just how I was brought up. So home care was $15,000 a month in 2010.
Yeah.
It's in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, but it's the zip code. You can look up your zip code. It does vary, but not much. Now it's all up there, $7,000 to $15,000 is what it costs. What I show my clients how to do is stay in your own home. And I've got some little tricks that you can do that you stay in your own home. And then
more tricks. Save money. Keep your money. Call Kris. So, Kris, I know we've been talking over half an hour now, so I'm going to need to wrap this up because I don't want to bore people with an hour-long thing. But we've given you how to get in touch with Kris. If you don't remember, back the video up and watch it again because there's all kinds of information that will help you change your family's life. And that's what we wanted to do. That's the reason Kris is back on. We want you to change your family's life. Right, Kris?
That's right. Thank you, Steve. Absolutely.
That's it. So, hey, reach out to us. I'm Steve at stevesapato.com. So we hope that you take our advice to heart. We hope that you change your life. We hope that you give Kris a chance to at least show you what you may not know. If you already know, what difference does it make? Reach out and ask her. Maybe you'll find something. I was doing something the other day and I said I watched a video of a person who said they could teach me how to be a better speaker and make more money in this 4-hour presentation they were giving. And I went to it and for 30 minutes listened to them bore me to death with their own story, their personal story. And I couldn't finish the video because it was so boring. And that's not what you're doing here. We want you to reach out to Kris, and you can bore her with your story, because she needs to hear it so that she can help you change your future. I'm Steve Sapato, Kris Miller. God bless. I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed year.